According to reports on this one, we're talking about the underage detention. Following public outrage, Nigeria's Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Prince Lateef Fagbemi, has intervened in the prosecution of 114 #end governance protesters, including minors that are facing charges of treason and related offenses. Fagbemi, responding to widespread criticism over the treatment of the detained children, has ordered the police to transfer the case files to his office and aims to expedite the trial. The detained protesters arrested in August appeared in court under visibly poor conditions, with some minors reportedly fainting due to malnutrition, and they were granted bail but will remain in detention until their trial resumes in January 2025. Key figures like former presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi condemned the government's handling of the case, labeling it as an affront to human rights and calling for compassion, particularly for the minors that are involved. Responding, the counsel to the federal government, Remazonte Ezekiel, who briefed journalists after the ruling on Friday, claimed that the minors, listen please, have wives who came with their parents. As the minors have wives, and they also said that some of the people who were seen in videos as minors are just children who came to court with their parents. They are not the actual detainees. Now, in his words, he said these boys that we brought to the court today are adults. Most of them are married men. None of them is a minor. And we are looking at the picture of the children. I don't know if adults now look like children, because there are lots of them. And if it was just one person, we'd say, okay, maybe this one has, you know, a particular stature, but then, or stature rather. But then these are the children altogether. It said some of them are university graduates. That the small kids that we are seeing there came with their parents to come and greet their loved ones. In his words, I just quoted him, that's how he said it, to come and greet their loved ones. So there are lots of aspects to this story, from the statement by the federal government to the 10 million naira bill, to the treatment of these children, these minors, as we have seen in the video, when they were in detention, and the fact that they were fainting when they came to court. It begs the question, what would have been their situation when they were in detention. Maybe they have been fainting there, but you know there are no cameras, so we really cannot tell what has happened. I would like to get your overall thought on this story.
First and foremost, I think I need to ask some very salient questions from what we have seen on that video or that picture there. Those children, are they really the people undergoing the trials? That's first one. The same people that are in that picture, are they the graduates? Are they the ones that have wives and children? You know, you don't whip up sentiments when, you know, the law does not even look at sentiments. The law look at facts available before the court and not sentiments. If you're saying these people are graduates,
these children, you mean? I
mean, those children are graduates, they have wives and children, then we have a fundamental problem. Well, I say we have a fundamental problem that needs to be addressed on its own, and is a discussion for another day.
What do you mean by fundamental problem? I would like to understand. I'm trying to follow you.
Now, when I say it's a fundamental problem, you know, I always speak in parable. You can always convince a blind man that the soup is eating doesn't have oil, because we have plant oil, natural oil, and animal oil. But you see, salt and pepper is one. We don't have animal.
He can find that out himself.
Yeah, a blind man from his taste bud,
yes,
will find out that one. You don't need any soothsayer to tell the blind man that this. So that's the question I'm asking at these people. Are they the people, quote and unquote, that are graduates? Are they the ones that have wives and children? The law has no room for sentiment.
These are the videos that we saw, yes.
For me, I've never liked protest.
Why?
You know why I've never liked protest? every protest at some point has the tendency of turning into a violent protest. Why I say so is that from my little study about sociology and protest, so many people join it at different points for different reasons. You might have a peaceful demonstration going on. Before you know, miscreants, hoodlums will hijack that protest and start causing mayhem. These are people who were destroying government properties, waving the flag of another country in an independent country. These are treasonable offense. Calling for military takeover in the midst of the protest. For me, the people who should or who ought to have been arrested are the organizers of the protest and not these miscreants. Because they are the ones who are...
organizers of the protest?
Yes.
Remember that the protest was intended, the intention for the protest was for it to be peaceful. So that's on the side of the organizers of the protest. So if you say arrest the organizers of the protest, why would that be? What about arrests? Since there have been talks about this, the people who were raising the Russian flag and, you know, committing all those, the miscreants now, that, like you have called them, since there have been talks about them having sponsors, why don't we look at going after their sponsors?
It's when you get, for me, like you said, say they have sponsors, then they should be thoroughly investigated even before being charged to court. They ought not to have charged them to court without proper investigation.
Of course, they said investigations were ongoing.
And they have sponsors. So who are their sponsors?
Big question.
Is to go after the sponsors. Because these persons that are on this picture here, it's heartbreaking. And these are products of hunger. Because a hungry man is an angry man. If you carry out a peaceful demonstration, people join it at different points in time for different reasons. Like me now on the road, if that POS lady, maybe on a good day, I wanted money from her, she didn't give me, I will join the protest here. As soon as I get there, I wreak havoc on her and see how I can loot. I go my way. And once that person loots, achieve that aims, the person goes back. And other people continue. So that's the danger of protests. Because it has every tendency of turning violent. Especially peaceful, like a street demonstration. But if it's a kind of protest where you gather somewhere in a confined area, do your protest from morning to night, speakers come, they speak and they go. You discover that that one doesn't turn violent.
But is that what you think?
Of course.
Because when we go back to the NSAS protests, right? Even though there were times when movements were made, let's look at the times, most of the time during that protest, these protesters were gathered at a place.
That was why it worked. That was why it was spontaneous.
But what happened at the end?
At the end of the day, they used force to dislodge them, which
So did it make any difference?
led to the death of innocent people. And since then, the police, they have become very professional. The era of police rascality and impunity after that SARS protest, it has reduced.
Really?
Yes, it has reduced minimally. The police, they have become very professional in their approach.
Wow. That's your thoughts anyway.
Yes. Take it to the bank.
Because there are people who do not agree to that school of thought.
They have become very professional.
We still hear cases on the other side. Yes, of course, we have officers who have become very professional.
Because nobody wants to lose his or her job.
Yes, and especially with the whole social media thing. You know, whatever you do these days, you never know who is taking videos of you. So some of them are sitting up. But we still have those other eggs that should be taken out of the system.
It's a gradual process, but the change has already started within the police.
Okay. So if you are not in support of protest, whether you're moving around or you're gathered in a particular place, then how are people supposed to air their grievances
How people are supposed
against
to
the system?
air their grievances? It happened in Asia, in China, where they went to the Tiananmen Square. They gathered there. Even the NSAS protest, they gathered at the Lekki toll gate. They stayed there. When they protested against Jonathan, when he increased prices, so it was at MK Abiola Garden, Ojota. They stayed there, turned it to a jamboree.
That's what they did with the NSAS protest.
And it worked.
Did it work?
It did.
But hearts were broken.
Hearts were broken.
Because lives were lost.
At some point, they had to use force to dislodge them, given the fact that it was already gaining momentum. That's the best way to protest. So, converge in one place. You don't move about.
How do we encourage such a protest again when the previous one did not end so well?
We have the Azigboro Park. We have the Azigboro Park.
What is the guarantee that this one is going to be different?
If you get Azigboro Park, we have the parking lot at the Yakubu Gowon Stadium. Adoki Amir Simaka.
That's the same way they said we have the Lekki toll gates. And they gathered there.
They went there.
So what happened? That's what I'm trying to show you.
The protest gathered momentum.
It did not end well.
Fine, it did not end well.
So why are we encouraging? Why, no, not that encouraging. Why? How come you're still saying that that is the best way to protest?
For me, it's the best way to stay in a confined environment than moving around the streets. If you move around, there's tendency that it will be hijacked by miscreants and people who don't have any business. But if they are in a confined place, they will be given police protection. At least miscreants and hoodlums will not come to be part of it.
All right.
Then they have media coverage.
Concerning these children now, what would you say about them? They have been granted bail, but looking at them, 10 million naira, you know, you'd ask questions like, where are the organizers of that protest? All the people who spiced up the protest. Now these children are looking, some of them are looking helpless.
For me.
So where are these people and who's going to even help them? 10 million naira each.
The same day, they were granted bail of 10 million. And you see, the process will start by January next year. Someone who threatened an innocent Nigerian that he will make him disappear was given a fine of 500,000 naira, and he left that same day. That's the dysfunction.